I actually watched Scarface from in its entirety for the very first time.
Because it's on Netflix?
Yeah, I downloaded it because I needed something to watch on a flight. I'm like, all right, I watched a shit ton of like Al Pacino stuff. I still have a couple more movies I have to watch. What is it, Carlito's Way, I think? But there's a number of different videos I have to see. Well, movies I have to see. But Scarface, I see why people really like it. But it's very 80s. It's really 80s.
Yeah. I see why people like it too. It's so quotable, bro.
Yeah.
Every rap song, they have some excerpt from Scarface in there.
Yeah, it's like when I watch Godfather, understand why people say not only is it the greatest film of all time, but why people take so much away from it. Because there's a lot of life lesson that happens. You could see how emotions can cloud judgment. You can see how, you know, discernment amongst leaders, how important that is. You could see how, you know, you can go down a path of, you know, self-destruction by being so overly ambitious. You lose touch of what it was that you actually want to do. There's so many different dynamics. You can see betrayal, misinterpretation of different particular kind of information, people being impatient, a lot of different things. In Scarface, you saw how his Tony's ambition to get to the top and then having morality at the wrong time cost him everything. Addiction, getting so heavily into the cocaine, he couldn't go and, you know, make sure he could stay level-headed, because that's how he could have not got murked by Sousa if he just, you know, when they planted said bomb, if they just blew up the dude. Now, granted, you don't want to blow up nobody's women and children, but you have to understand who you're associating yourself with. There really is no honor amongst thieves, and here you are, thought it could have worked out. Nope.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. It's so alluring because it's the fast life, fast money. Right. Becoming Tony Montana is the equivalent of the urge for a woman to want to become an OnlyFans girl. That's the way I see it. If a girl's like, I should become an OnlyFans girl. Fast money. I get to live a glamorous life. It's not that hard. If you want to get to the very top, it still requires like strategy, and it still is a little bit hard. But same thing, Tony, like if you want to become the kingpin, cocaine kingpin, it's fast, easy money.
Yeah, constantly looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, but it's constantly looking over your shoulder. You can never it's one of those things where you can't tell people what you do.
Right, right. But in his case, it was out in the open. Like there was no question, and he was the number 3 guy inside of Frank's operation. Yeah. Because the other dude, he ended up being, I guess he was a rat, and then they hung him from the helicopter when he went down to I think it was Cuba. Where was Sousa located? I forget. But it's very vivid in my mind after I watched it one time, but then it's still like, because I always saw clips throughout the years, and then finally watching it from beginning to end, I see why people love the movie.
It's one of those movies that's just like extremely, like the accent, the way he acts, it's very quotable, because it's like, it's a G. Everybody wants to be like a boss like that. Yeah. You know, they want to be the G, they want to be that guy. But bro, there's a lot that comes with that. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Right, right. And it was so different in the personality between Tony and truly, I think this is something that we could do too. React to like movies, break stuff down. That'd be pretty cool.
Breaking stuff down. I did a business breakdown recently. I want to start doing more business breakdown stuff, just because that's the one thing I know in and out. Right. Like I know business like the back of my hand, but there was a big deal, $100 million deal that Budweiser did with the UFC. And when I saw this, did you hear about that at all or no?
Budweiser did with the UFC?
Budweiser did $100 million.
I thought it was Budweiser. I thought it was Bud Light.
Bud Light. Yeah, Bud Light.
Because I remember there was some backlash about the deal.
Yeah, so there was a thing. It was like people are threatening to boycott the UFC because of the Bud Light deal. Right. And I did a business breakdown. I'm going to do it again here on the show. But I actually thought it was a genius move. Because for everyone, the watchers that don't know what happened, Bud Light, they essentially got canceled. Right. By their audience. In the reverse, they got reverse canceled. Right. Because they were trying to be too inclusive. They sponsored
Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney.
Trans person.
Yeah, well, right, fair enough. Or still veiny, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So since that's the case, they went and they sponsored the 365 Days a Woman of the Year individual, and that ended up leading to the cancellation of the I forget who it was that was pushing Bud Light heavily, and people just started.
From a business perspective, Bud Light fucked up because they don't know their core audience.
Yep.
You know your audience is these guys that are like rootin' tootin' Americans drinking some Bud Light in the back of my truck.
Yeah.
That's kind of like their core audience. Or like very masculine guys like Bud Light, you know?
Right.
Let me get a Bud Light after work, crack a beer. Just had a long day at my electrician job. Let me crack a beer with a Bud Light, you know? And they sponsored Dylan Mulvaney, put Dylan Mulvaney on the can. And all of a sudden, people were like, fuck Bud Light. They lost $100 million.
Yeah, they lost a shit ton of bread.
They almost went out of business.
So, it got that far. Interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know it had gotten that far. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad. Interesting.
And that's just a prime example of not knowing your core audience. So if I'm Bud Light, I'm scrambling. I'm like, let's get all the soldiers together, emergency meeting. Let's figure out how to fix this. So they decided, okay, we sponsored this fucked us over. Let's sponsor the most masculine thing we could figure out. So they started looking into it.
Polar opposite.
Yeah, polar opposite. They're like UFC.
Right.
And Dana White's a brilliant businessman. He looks at this and he's like, oh yeah, they fucked up. He knows he has all the leverage.
Yeah. So you could throw out insane figures.
And he did a $100 million deal.
Incredible.
So Bud Light's like, well, fuck. They want $100 million, but they put us in the middle of a UFC cage. Fuck it. We got it. At this point, they're desperate. They know they have to do it. They're running the fence. So they're like, fuck it, do it. Dana White's like $100 million. And like I said, Dana White, because he knew the leverage, people are like, I'm gonna cancel the UFC because they're taking money from Bud Light. No, the fuck you're not. I don't care what anybody says. If there's a big UFC fight, I don't care who sponsors that shit. I'm gonna watch it.
Because the core audience of people who tune in for UFC, you're a fan of the fight business. A lot of times you don't. The casual viewer will tune in for that high profile fight. And even if somebody said, you wanted to go and cancel the UFC, you can't do it because they've consistently been able to ascend since the pandemic. Because really, 2020, they were one of the two, sporting events. Them and the WWE kept going. They kept going. And it's gotten to its absolute peak. So even though Bud Light is in that terrible, tailspin, them going and partnering with the UFC, Dana White being able to pull all the money. Right, that's the one brand that can save them. So they're going to be able to print, and people are still going to go and tune in.
Because what happens now, it's like, think about all the people that watch the UFC. Now Bud Light's back in the forefront of their mind. They could be like, fuck Bud Light, whatever. But if they see Bud Light, every time they tune into a UFC fight, eventually they'll be like, man, I want a Bud Light right now.
Yeah, soon enough, somebody will go and they'll bite on it. They'll bite on it. It makes me wonder what the turnaround time for that investment will be. Now granted, everything takes time with the sponsor, but it makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder.
I don't think it's necessarily even one of those things where you can calculate a direct ROI. It's more one of those things where it's like, hey, we fucked up.
Right.
Let's just cough up this 100 M's, fix our image. It's not going to be overnight. But like I said, when Bud Light's in the forefront and they start seeing people get fucked up and beat up and punched while looking at a Bud Light thing, they start to associate that with like masculinity again. And it's a slow grind to like, hey, we fucked up, but let's
because it was a fast fall. It was a very fast fall. So it really makes me wonder. And, right now with the UFC, things are going magnificent with what you saw in the ring between Francis Ngannou when he took on Tyson Fury in a fight that truly could have gone either way. But I don't think if they raised Ngannou's hand and he won, I don't think there'd be a lot of people who would be complaining. I think this is one of those situations where a lot of people can say.
If you looked at Twitter, everyone said robbery. I thought it was a robbery.
I do too. I
thought it was a robbery.
I think Ngannou, and a lot of times people think because of a knockdown that means you won said fight, because I think even when the first fight was a split decision between Fury and Wilder when they were fighting back then, I still said Fury. In my opinion, I felt like Fury still won the fight despite the knockdowns at the end. But in this situation, watching it from a guy who isn't a boxer for all intents and purposes, to go in there toe-to-toe with the world champion, per se, the #1 boxer in the game, and to fight the way that he fought, to where Fury damn near had to change his entire dynamic and plan in the midst of the ring. And watching the fight, you saw Ngannou was actually winning. I felt as if it was a robbery as well.
And then you look at the aftermath.
Right.
The faces. Fury had this big black eye.
Fucked up.
Ngannou looked
the same. And now going back to everything with UFC, this just further, increases UFC stock. I think Ngannou's performance reversed everything that the Paul brothers had done to all those, retired UFC fighters. I think now the stock has since gone back up for UFC, and Dana White probably looking a little bit stupid. I think it's like a 50-50 because he was talking kind of down on Ngannou just because of the contract disputes. They could have worked something out.
Ngannou has done something that's great. He's liberated fighters. Right. Because like I said, UFC is the most uncancelable thing. I saw a UFC fighter posted their paycheck after taxes, flights, because they make them book their own flights and stuff to the fight. After medical clearance, hospital bills, he walked away with like $17,000.
Yeah.
No one gives a fuck. They're like, yeah, make them fight. Like that, UFC pays people 17 grand to get fucked up, to get brain damage. Nobody bats an eyelash.
It's like the Coliseum is blood sport.
Yeah.
It's blood sport. So essentially you have these gladiators, these warriors who's going out there and you're fighting to make a living. And the people are they're bloodthirsty, so they're just cheering it on.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less if this dude couldn't eat. I remember there was a video of, I forget the fighter's name. I don't know where in Africa that he had came from, but then The Rock, he saw it because he said he had like $7 in his pocket. The Rock's whole story is having $7 in his pocket. So with that being the case, he went and I think he got the dude a house, all this other stuff. I forget his name, but people were like, whoa, wait a minute, yo, they got to pay this dude more, but that's literally the story. When you're coming up in the fight game, it's one of those things where you got to be passionate about it, or you got to be really good. If you're just somebody who's mundane, it's very difficult. You're not going to be able to make a living.
Yeah. So Dana White, with Francis Ngannou, he's liberated some fighters because he was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to be your little clown anymore. I'm going to go do my own thing. Gets this fight with Fury, wins. One of the now he's a household name in boxing, in MMA. Like, dude is a beast. People love him, and I love Francis Ngannou. I would love to have someone like that on the podcast. I think he embodies everything we talk about. Do you know his backstory?
No.
It's fucking incredible, bro.
From Cameroon.
He's Cameroon. He was working in the sand mines as a child. Working in the sand mines, and he was like, you know what? This is not a life for me.
Right.
So, dude makes the journey, treacherous journey, to go from Cameroon and try and get into Europe.
Right.
And the way he does it, I guess Cameroon, all the countries in between, he like walked or hitchhiked or whatever, found a way to go up through there. So he's cutting through all like the jungles of Africa to get here to the border. And then from the border, he has a little like boat rafting he tried to take into Europe, or was it Turkey? Try to get something into. Are we good?
Yeah.
So yeah. So he tries to take this thing into Turkey. He gets caught. They ship him back to
Cameroon.
Africa.
Yeah, you got to go back to Cameroon. Tries again. Okay.
And he's doing this, and like, keep in mind, it's not a short trip. It's like a 2-week trip. Like
unyielding pursuit to try to find a way out.
So he was literally there in the sand mines, and I could be wrong about some of these details, but in the sand mines, fucking traverses through the jungles of Africa to get to the border, crosses over, gets sent back, tries to cross over again, gets sent back, tries to cross over again. Eventually, he makes it over. And to I don't know what Africa. I'm not a geography guy, but like Africa, I think it's Turkey or something. And then from Turkey, makes it into Paris. And at this point, he's already like 34, 35 years old.
So he was in his 30s doing this.
Yes, bro.
Really interesting.
I don't know if he was in his 30s.
Maybe like late teen, 20s, something of that nature.
31 or something.
All right.
And he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna figure out what I can do. He couldn't find any work. He's like, I'm gonna become a boxer. Starts boxing, ends up doing MMA. Joins the UFC somehow, becomes the fucking heavyweight champion, bounces out of that, becomes the I want to say boxing heavyweight champion, but you know what I mean, like
yeah. UFC
so the dude
heavyweight champion,
literally has like an indomitable spirit, like unbreakable. People are complaining about fucking, I don't want to post every day. This dude fucking worked in a sand mine, went through the jungles of Africa, took a raft from fucking Africa to the Middle East, to then end up in Europe, to then train every single, because that's not enough for him. He could have been there and like, I'm gonna get a job here, much better life than being in a sand mine. No, fuck that. I'm gonna train every single day, become the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, turn this down, and then fight the biggest heavyweight boxer in the world. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, and
it's amazing,
even,
bro.
like even people will probably get into like the details or whatever the case, but I think it's the perseverance that matters in the story, because here's somebody who could have quit. Because of course, being in the United States, it's different for us, because if you're out there, you notice everybody's doing everything they can to get here or get to like a first world country, so they have an opportunity. You could be born here and you don't have that level of hunger, you don't have that level of desire desire, because imagine like you're trying to see if you could get somewhere, you fail twice. It's like, all right, well, off to a different venture. For him, he said, no, fuck that. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. And the work that it takes to get to this point, because like you said, he could have made it to Europe and said, all right, cool. I'm going to just go see if I could become like an accountant or something like that. You make a good, honest living, but you're not in a situation to where it's like it's you do or die kind of situation. Because in the fight game, hey, go out there, lose 4 fights, then what? You know, then what? Like there's a ton of people who in the fight game been training for years. They make it to whether you get an appearance on UFC. Maybe you don't even get that far. You could be on a smaller promotion trying to go and fight. You don't break through. And here you are just, you know, whatever your paycheck is for the fight, that's enough to sustain things for whether it be a month, 2 months, 3 months. Because remember, back in the day when Tyson was at his peak, he was fighting like fucking, what was like 86? He fought like maybe 10 fights in the year. Like you're fighting every month. There was a couple of periods in which he fought like twice in 1 month. A lot of guys, when you're coming up, you have to fight a shit ton of times because if you're getting paid per fight, I got to take as much fights as possible.
Exactly.
So in this blood sport, really, you're in a spot where it's like, oh, you got to fight to live. You got to fight to eat. Because some of these people be homeless, living out of their cars. Man, you can always admire it. So I would hope with this deal for Dana White, the UFC, with Bud Light, they could pay a lot of the fighters. You know,
they're not paying.
But they're not going to.
People, like, and here's the thing: like, why are you fighting? Go do something else. You don't got to do this if you don't have the money.
You're always good.
Business is business, bro. Like, you can make it big in the UFC. One thing that the UFC does really, really well is they promote the fuck out of you. Like, you might not get paid in money, but you get paid in attention. And that attention. Like, Francis Ngannou, one thing UFC did do for him, they might have not given him a bunch of money, but they promoted the fuck out of him. He became a star because of that. And that's a big marketing engine behind it.
Like even Israel Adesanya, same thing to with the whole style bender stuff. You have an opportunity to brand yourself. And I think we talk about it all the time. Personal brand is the strongest right now across the board and everything. So when you are given that platform, you've got to be able to get yourself over. Like, what's his, I forget his first name, but Holland. Kevin Holland, is it?
Kevin Holland.
Yeah, that dude talking in the midst of fights. His sound bites and mic'd up stuff from it, it's got to be one of the most viral fighters, because it's like, yo, I want to see this guy's fight. Maybe not even for what happens at the end result, but what happens during the fight.
100%.
Somebody like Conor McGregor, one of the most recognizable faces across the entire planet, based off of the brand that he was able to build off of the UFC. So a lot of people don't recognize how to capitalize on it. When you've got those cameras going, you've got to be able to take advantage.
You got to make the most of the platform.
Yes, Charles Son. Oh my God, this dude might be one of the top 5 trash talkers of all time. He's a real life Johnny Cage. This dude was able to market himself, recognizing, hey, these cameras are on, these mics are rolling. I'm gonna give people something to talk about. I've said time and time again from when I started on social media, my one goal, make it to the NBA celebrity game. And they've since lowered the barometer to get in, because now it's like you could be a social media person, you mess around and get in like that. Or I don't even need to be highly up there in clout. Just get me invited to the game.
I'm gonna add that to my list. I would love to do that.
Because for me, it's not even let me show you my athletic ability. I never had an opportunity to play, organized basketball at a very high level. So let me come show you what my moves are. To hell with that. Somebody's gonna be mic'd up. I'm not gonna be the most viral individual there.
For sure.
Somebody's gonna be mic'd up over there. All I got to do is get near the mic. Whoever is mic'd up, I'm guarding you, and I'm not going to stop talking. I'm not going to say anything that would end up getting bleeped out. I'm going to say the most outlandish things that would still fall under the stuff to get me in there. So I would be doing like positive trash talk. Oh, I bet your mother makes amazing pies. I'd love to taste it this Thanksgiving. You better invite me to Christmas. I can't wait to get your dad a present. I'd say random things that somebody, what's this guy talking about? I bet your toenails underneath those sneakers look amazing. Just say random stuff to where people immediately I'd be able to build my stock, because they're like, who the hell is this dude who keeps talking? I would do outlandish things because the camera's there, and now the attention shows up, and you got to be prepared to now sustain that. So when that opportunity presents itself, whether you're on a platform like UFC, boxing, whatever the case is, now that the cameras are on you, how can you build a brand on top of that? It's one of the biggest things I'm passionate about.
I love that. I love that. Piggybacking off of that, I completely agree with you. That's fire. I just did a TV show with MTV, whatever. I don't know if I'm allowed to announce it yet, whatever. I'm going to fucking talk about it. They've taken forever. It's been over a year. We filmed this last year. But But I went on the show with the intention of building more brand. Because I think about it, I'm like, I'm not here to win the money. There was a prize money, it was like 100 grand. I make that in a month. I make way more than that in a month.
Mm-hmm. Big flex.
Big flex. I'm not there for that money, because that money to me is worthless. Like, sure, and like, great. But I'm there to create the moments that become viral, the moments that people view, and build almost like a character that not only helps MTV because they have their storyline, but also for me, I get a bunch of exposure off it. Right. Because if I can capitalize on that moment and just get as much airtime as possible, that's free marketing for me, bro. It's free marketing for me. And that brand sticks with you. Mm-hmm. Right, that 100 grand they give me, it could be gone in a month. I could buy something nice, it's gone. That brand, it sticks with you.
And the press that stays, because that's the biggest thing. People will go on these reality shows, and the moment that you're on these shows, if you can separate yourself from the pack and become somebody who's interesting enough, because whenever somebody's watching a show, and it's the same thing regardless of what it is. Sure. You ever see people watching like history shows? They're Googling in the midst of watching the show. Like The Crown. When The Crown was at its peak, I remember I was watching the first 2 seasons. I don't give a shit about, British history, what's going on with the throne. I don't give a damn. Right. But while I was watching it was so captivating to where I'm Googling the different sort of actors. I'm Googling different sort of stuff that's happening. Right? Who is this? Oh, wait a minute. This happened? Wait, there was some sort of mudslide in the 50s that killed all these. What's going on over here? So if you're on a reality show, people are going to be, well, who's this person? So now that I'm Googleable in the midst of watching the show, I got to give you something to talk about after the fact.
Exactly.
Right? So
and you got to sustain it.
Exactly. So you're on this show. These people are, you got these cameras rolling. You have an opportunity to push your personality. Now, not only would you want to be in a situation where the show, you're showcasing a personality and a brand there. What if you already have been building that brand ahead of time? So now when they Google you, they've got something that's actually there.
They binge everything, bro.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. That's one of the reasons why you have to be prepared for
when the people
get there. Because
these people that blow up, like these overnight successes, they have nothing that people follow on, so they don't really fall in love with their character. They watch it, they're like, okay, cool, let me look this person up. Oh, there's nothing else I could check out. Done. You've lost their attention already. But someone like you, someone like myself, they see this person, because I've thought about this a lot. I need to create a lot of like stuff people can watch so they can have something to refer to. They're like, oh, what is this? They find out about me through one of these big moments, and then they continue to watch, and then literally from there they become deep fans. So let's say you do the NBA celebrity game, right? You become one of the people like, oh, this guy's awesome. When you look him up, they see all of your videos. You have now captured the hearts of these people. Right, and that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, you gotta be prepared for when the moment comes. And since I was 21, I constantly kept telling myself, it's a long game. It's not gonna be overnight. It took 7.5 years to make it to where I am now. Boom, and baby. I still look at it like, I haven't made it yet. I'm still waiting for that huge break. But it's not like I'm just sitting over here on my hands like, oh man, I know it's gonna show up. It's gonna come eventually. No, I'm gonna be prepared for when it does happen. So the moment that they got that mic rolling, they got like an intro or something like they give me a hot mic or something. Why do you think I do the whole diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual? Think about what that sounds like to somebody who doesn't know who you are, the casual viewer. It's like, wait a minute, what did he just say? So you got to take like a double take. I now become not only rewatch, I'm rewindable per se. So you want to go back. What did he just say? Let me go back and see what's going on. Or if you do something that's outlandish, you now become a viral individual. You know what we need to do? So much shit, man. We got to find a manager to manage us that can get us in the celebrity NBA. If we could both be in the celebrity NBA game, that'd be wild. Same time, I need to get my clout up a little bit more. I think the combination of the stuff that's in progress, I can do it, but bro, that'd be fucking a dream come true. Yeah, because you're more raw businessman. Because you have the personality on a lower level of your business. Your business supersedes your personality. Yeah. My personality supersedes my business. Right. So with that being the case, if we now can converge, now get both on the same level, now it's gonna be like, oh wow, this guy's pretty cool. Oh, and he's also a killer businessman. But I love what you said about like how you've been working on this for 7 years. Because something I noticed about you, I love you fucking fly here every time to do these podcasts. Yep. Every week to do these podcasts, you on a flight, boom, let's get it done. Yep. And that stick-to-itness, people don't have that. They don't. So a crazy thing, we just got monetized. Yes. This podcast is officially monetized. Woo! Yeah. And people are gonna be like, well, yeah, because you had followings, bro. This was still fucking hard. Yep. We've been doing this for 4 months. This is episode 21. 6 months, maybe. Yeah, 5 months. We've been doing it for 5 months. Episode 21. An episode a week, 4 or 5 clips a week for the past fucking for the past 21 weeks. Yep. Bro, Most people wouldn't be able to stick to that. So the fact that we did all that to now officially get monetized, it feels so fucking good. But it's also a testament to like, hey, if you just push and work at it, shit will work for you.
Right.
That consistency mixed with like the strategy, mixed with a little bit of work ethic, you can make it happen, bro.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about it, ad nauseum throughout the entire podcast of the same skill that it takes to make $10 is the same skill it takes to make 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. It's the exact same thing. You got to have that stick-to-itiveness. You have to have that consistency, the commitment to the commitment of consistency. You have to be able to continue to go through the ringer because most people, and I've always said, a podcast isn't a podcast. They say it's 20 episodes. In my opinion, it's 100. If you get to 100 episodes, you got yourself a podcast. 50, that should be more than enough, but you have to be able to commit to it because oftentimes when you first begin, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah. You don't know how to really connect with individuals. But then now when you get yourself a listener, you get somebody who's now tuning in, you continue. It's repetition. It's like Michael Jordan. How many shots did this man take? How many freaking at-bats did you have, Barry Bonds or Hank Aaron? How many did they have? How many footballs did Tom Brady throw? How many right hands and hooks did you see, Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, Ali throw? It's a constant grind to get there.
And that constant grind also builds the foundation where the superstar comes from.
Right.
Because check it out. Let's say we do the NBA celebrity game, right? Speaking this into existence. We find a manager. He's like, yo, you guys are funny. Let me put you guys in the NBA celebrity game. We do the NBA celebrity game. People find out about us. I hit a game winner. You're talking all that shit. People are like, oh, who are these people? Right? They look us up, they find the podcast, and now they have fucking 100 podcasts to watch.
Right.
So now not only did we get our moment, but we have the entire foundation for them to latch onto, and now they cling to it. So not only does the podcast print money, our brands grow huger, there's a deeper connection with the audience. You built this massive fucking snowball based off this little let's do an episode. All right, next week, another episode. 20 episodes in, okay, cool, we got monetized. 100 episodes in, oh cool, we got the NBA All-Star Game, boom, out of nowhere. We're one of the biggest podcasts in the world,
Right, that's the biggest thing because a lot of times there's a lot of podcasts that came out of nowhere, like that Bobby girl on TikTok. I don't know where this girl came from,
Drake,
but she was ready for when the moment happened.
Yeah,
it blew up out of nowhere. Not everybody's got the attention on her. I think she sat down with Offset, Lil Yachty, Drake, a bunch of these people.
Mark
I just
Cuban.
see clips coming out of nowhere from Twitter, and I had never known who this girl was. And guess what? Now they have a whole video log bank of everything, and she has not only videos you go back and watch, it's anticipation of what's next. And I promise you, the people who had just joined and hopped onto her bandwagon, they're now going through the creator's journey with her, because I promise you she'll probably go and rebrand at one point, maybe within 12 to 36 months. And when that rebrand happens, those very same people who hopped onto the bandwagon in 2023, they'll be looking back 2025, 2026, 2027, like, oh, I remember when she was doing this and then she went and she did that. You feel like you're a part of it. So that's one of those things where it's incredibly important when you got to be ready when the time comes, and that's what makes it so cool, man.
But listen, when you stay ready, you don't got to get ready.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to all that stuff, that building part of it, people don't like the building. Embrace the building, because the building is the foundation where the house is built. Yeah, my boy. So yeah, it's fun, man. And I think those little wins keep you going. Because let's say we were at 100 episodes, right? Not monetized yet. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be discouraged. Yeah. I'm pretty I stick to a lot of things. I force myself to do a lot of things. But if we're 100 episodes in and we're not making no progress, viewership hasn't gone up, and we're not doing this, I'd be a little discouraged. Man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. But these little wins, even if we make $10, I don't give a fuck. That's $10 I didn't have before.
Right.
That's 100%, progress.
100%. And then now it works because you went through that entire ringer to finally make it to that point. It's like anybody who just starts on YouTube. So many people don't realize the amount of work that goes into it. Yeah. Then you finally get monetized. There is not a single YouTuber I know who grinded to finally get monetized and then they stop and they quit the moment that they get there. Yep. You done did all of this to finally get to that particular point. Now you've got to push. And then that feeling of getting that first check, then nothing beats it. Nothing beats it, because it took me 2.5 years to finally get that first one. We talked about it before in an earlier episode. But with all of that to finally make it to that point, all of the work that you done put in got you to where it is that you want to be. So with that being the case, you just like, all right, cool. Now I'm ready. I feel like everything was worth it. It wasn't like, this wasn't the end to the means. It was a means, towards the end.
It's the hours, bro. Like I said, 21 episodes, that's got to be like 50 hours of both of our lives. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 50 hours consistently, and we talk about it. We talk at least 4 or 5 times a week about this. Bro, it feels good. It just goes to show that you put energy towards anything, you can make stuff happen.
Yeah, and what I love the most is like we talked about different sort of innovative ways that we could do things. Like, oh man, we could do a pod from a jet. We could maybe do live one, maybe go on the street, do a bunch of different things.
Swim to that island.
Right, swim to the island. There's a lot of versatility that can happen, but in the midst of all of those different ideas, it's like, all right, you have to be willing to go and do those. I promise you, Assiduous podcast at fucking springtime 2024, we could be, maybe doing a live pod in a different country. We could maybe do one from a jet, go live from an airport. The possibilities are endless, because all you have to be is consistent in that creativity and try different things. Of course, we're start too. Right. Of course, we're on a couch now, but we could be outside in the street. As long as you got Wi-Fi, you have your mics are running or whatever the case is. You could try a bunch of different things, and you have to be willing to go and do so. We haven't forgotten about building that school in Africa and all that other stuff. We're still working towards it. Best believe we will get there. But it's a beautiful feeling to finally be monetized.
Yeah, bro. It is. It's cool because like. One, shout out to the people watching this. That's awesome. Drop a comment if you're still watching us 20 episodes in. Some people watched one and were like, man, not my thing. But it's cool because you build a community as well. You build a community. Building stuff, it just feels good. Right. Building feels great. I don't know if people have ever built anything, but building a business, building a relationship, building a podcast, any sort of building, there's a rewarding feeling that comes with it, because you're like, wow. Think about it like this. 21 weeks ago, 22 weeks ago, this was an idea in our brain. And we're like, let's do it. And then you said yes. So we did it. We put a bunch of hours in. You've spent fucking over a day or two on a plane. To make it to Miami to film the podcast. And now we have something to show for it. Right. And then 50 episodes from now, 100 episodes from now, we're going to have more to show for it. And even if we don't, we get to show our kids that we had a podcast when we were younger. And it's like, if you don't want to live life like that, it's fucking amazing, bro. The fact that you can have kids in the future one day, and you be like, look, I had a podcast when I was younger, and they get to peek into your life. And think about it, and this is morbid, but like, when you die or I die, this is on the internet forever. Right. Our kids will literally have documented hundreds of hours of documented video footage of their fathers when we're gone. Right. And then even let's just say when let's not even go towards like death even. And while you're still alive, your old age, or not even old age, like 10 years down the line, you're like, yo, I used to travel, hop on a plane every week, go out to Miami so we could film, right? Oh, well, how would you even be able to? Dude, it's a commitment to it. Yeah. People will look at that and that's admirable. Yep. And while you're doing it, you're building towards something. I don't think there's a single person who's built something doesn't look back and they smile about the journey that it took to get to where it is. Yeah. The end destination is cool, but when you can enjoy the journey, you can enjoy the grind, I think that is one of those peak things. It's difficult when things are down. It's difficult when things are down. But if you have that perspective and, we're working towards something, and you can find peace in the journey, it's beautiful. When you can look back on it. I go through my Instagram memories a lot. I'm like, wow, this is when I was doing this or when I was doing this. And it's like, reminiscing feels good, bro. Yeah. It feels good because you're like, wow, I really did that. Yeah, and it's the right kind of reminiscing. You're proud of yourself. You're not like, oh my God, I wish my life was like this again. You're like, wow, I did that. And you have a sense of pride with the fact that you're happy with yourself because of the fact that you did that. And I think that's like a feeling that like you cannot compare to anything, bro. Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. So, yeah, that's good news with the podcast. I love this shit. And I think this is going to get us even more fired up too, because when you start seeing a little bit of, you want to figure out how you can make $1 into 100 and 100 into 1,000, 1,000 into a million, because it's like a game. Right. Life is a game like that, where you look at the numbers, we're like, okay, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And the more we do, the more we make. it's all directly up to us.
Right, 100%. And then there's a shit ton of stuff that you can now allocate towards the pod because you can push a bunch of different things. It's freedom. I think it's really freedom. I think I'm with.
You said something fire the other day. You posted on your story. It's like there's no better feeling than when you bet on yourself with your own money and you win.
Right, 100%.
When you bet on yourself with your own money and you win, because it's like, yo, I fucking did that, bro.
Yeah.
And it's your money, so it's like you know how hard you worked for it. Mm-hmm. And you bet on yourself, so you know, like, I believe in myself, and you win. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. When you put that, I was like, this is so fire. I wanted to repost it, but I forgot.
Yeah, hey, TJ got there. Shout out to TJ. Yeah. But you know, with that, it really is true because a lot of times people, they don't invest in this. People say they invest in themselves. Well, how much money are you putting into yourself? Yeah. How much are you really investing? Time is one thing because that is incredibly important. But if you now put your own money behind something, you say, you know what, I believe in this, and you go 100% into it. Even if you were to fail, you at least get the experience out of it. But when you win, there is nothing more satisfactory than that. It is by far, I think, one of the greatest highs that you can possibly get because you have verifiable evidence of what it is that you did worked out in your favor, and you can continue to feel the fruits of that labor. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Motherfucking mic drop.
Yes, indeed. Episode 21, finally monetized, man. I'd love to see the comment section congratulate us on getting monetized. Yeah. And congratulations to the audience as well, you know, sticking with us here this long, man.
We got to do something for the audience. I'm trying to think of what we can do. We should do like a in-studio podcast, like a live one, and have people come watch us and ask us questions. That'd be fire. I don't know yet. We're early on in this journey. Obviously, we got to figure it out, but that would be super cool.
Yeah, it'd be dope,
to have anyone. What do you guys want? In the comments, drop it. If you're still watching us, fucking 20 hours later, 20 episodes later, one, I appreciate you. I love you. But what do you want us to do? How can we make your life better? How can we kind of give you a reward for all the support? Talk to me. Let me know. We'll try and work something out.
Yeah, definitely. Like a giveaway, something like that.
Giveaway would be fire.
Yeah, giveaway or something like that. Who knows? Yeah, I think it'd be pretty dope, man. But this is one of those situations where, you know, you got to utilize the comment section. We'll definitely take a look up in there, see what you guys say would be great ideas to you know, for engagement between us and you guys. So you certainly, you guys let us know up in that comment section. But this is dope, man. I'm glad we done made it, man. This is awesome. This is awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this has been episode number 21.
Is it 21 or 22?
21, 22?
One of those.
21.
21.
Of the Assiduous podcast, where it is, again, I, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the chiseled Adonis. And he is enjoying Coke, the serial entrepreneur, Filipino Prince Tycoon, Rene Lacotte. And this is, we are Assiduous.
Chicka chicka poo poo.